Hi, today I'll be showing you how to easily create online forms using the free tool provided by Google Drive. So I'll go ahead and get started right away and then explain things as I go along. So Google Drive and then the various documents and types of documents you can create from Google Drive should be compatible with the most recent versions of all of the major browsers. I'll just go ahead and use Google Chrome. So when you open up your browser, what you'll want to do is actually navigate to drive.google.com. So my browser already has that auto-filled for me. If you don't already have a Google account, so if you don't use Gmail or you don't use Google Docs, which this is part of that family here, then you'll need to register for an account. That's a pretty simple process, so I won't be showing it here, but you basically provide your name, choose your email address. It's like signing up for any email address with the other providers. Once you have a Gmail account, that's your Google account, and you can use that to sign into Google Drive. So when you open up Drive, you might be greeted with the Get Started with Google Drive. They have a new version that came out recently, so that might open up. You can just close out of that. We won't be doing anything with that today. Instead, what you'll want to do is on the left side of your Google Drive, there will be a new button. When you click on that, it gives you options for the various kinds of new things you can create. So you can help organize yourself with a new folder. You can upload your existing files because Google Drive is a cloud storage service provided by Google. And then in addition to the cloud storage, Google Drive tries to differentiate itself from other competitors like Dropbox and OneDrive and Box.com by offering document creation as well. So there's Google Docs, which lets you create Word documents. There's Google Sheets, which allows you to create spreadsheets. Google Slides allows you to create presentations. But what I'll be showing you today is known as Google Forms, which you may not have heard of until today. So what Google Forms does is it lets you easily create an online form where people will fill out the form, and then their answers will be added to a spreadsheet that you have access to, and you can compile that information. So this will be really useful for people creating surveys, for people getting feedback about their website, constructing questionnaires, or anyone that needs to collect any kind of data. So I'll go ahead and close out of this little informational pop-up, but when you get that, when you're signed in, you're welcome to read that. So the main components here is the main form creation. So you basically choose the question that you want to appear. You can add any help text. And then you provide the kind of question that it is. So depending on what kind of question you choose, you'll be given different options. So for paragraph text, I don't need to supply anything. Whereas if I'm doing a multiple choice type question, then I can actually provide the different multiple choice options that the people would have. I'm not going to get too much into the advanced features here. If you have any questions about doing something specific in Google Drive, please leave a comment on this video and I'll be glad to help you out. But basically, you can continue to click the Add Item button and add more and more questions until you're satisfied with all the questions that you have. There is a way to create multiple pages, where instead of adding a generic item here, you would actually choose to add a page break. You can include images, videos, the date and time, all that stuff. And then there are a few options for your form too. So I will go ahead and actually show you those real quick. You can have a progress bar. You can control how many responses a person's allowed to submit. And then you can actually randomize questions, which is a relatively new feature. At the end, when the people submit your form, they'll have a thank you page or a confirmation page, and you can edit the text that appears there. And then you can decide whether you want them submitting another response or not. and then whether you want to make the responses public. When you're done with all that, you would click the Send Form button, and this actually generates a URL that you can actually share with other people. So if I copy it here and open it in a new tab, this will show you what that form looks like. Again, I didn't really create any questions, so it's not going to look very nice, but you can change the background. You obviously have control over the questions that are asked, things like that. When they submit their answer, here's that confirmation page. So this is the front end. This is what the people you're asking questions will see. That's where you design it within the form itself. Then the responses are actually collected in a spreadsheet. You can choose what spreadsheet they're collected in, but by default, a new spreadsheet will be created once you've set that up, where it will be a Google Sheet. They'll collect all of this responses here. So I'm going to click Choose Response Destination and create a new spreadsheet that's going to have the same name as my form with parentheses responses after it. So I'll do that. And now if I give it a little bit of time, then I should have the new spreadsheet appear here. So there's a response spreadsheet, or sorry, this is, yeah, the response spreadsheet next to the form here. So here's what that looks like. Again, I would have a column for every question that I asked, but since I was doing a quick sample here, I don't have any questions. And every response would be a row. You can make questions required and all that. What's nice about this is you can either view the responses here, or you would actually be able to download the file and put it into Excel, for example, and then manipulate it there, create charts and all of that. Through the form menu, Google also does a nice thing for you where it provides a summary. Again, it's not going to be super useful right now because I didn't actually get a real response, but depending on the question types and the kinds of answers that are provided, it'll have charts and bar graphs and all kinds of summary statistics done for you. So that was a really quick look through Google Forms, just one component of Google Docs or the Google Drive ecosystem here. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please leave me a comment.